Okie dokie dilly pokey. Hey everybody, what is going on? It's your boy the33. Welcome you to another patch rundown. Today we're running down TFT patch 9.22, and this is the big patch. Now, if you've seen on my channel already, I've been uploading Rise of the Element gameplay of set 2 TFT, and yeah, that set is finally live on the live client, shall we say, and it's coming in 9.22. Now, the first big thing to point out is that the new elemental hexes, champions, and classes are into the mode, which includes traits like mountain, desert, summoner, things like that. Mage as well are added. New sort of hexes on the board, which give different effects depending on what element it is. Like Infernal gives attack speed, Ocean gives mana at the start of turn, Mountain gives more health at every round, and Wind gives speed, I believe? Attack speed, maybe? I don't remember. But that is the main thing for this change up to the actual game mode, and with that change up, the board size has actually increased by rows. Yes, that's right. Instead of it being just the standard 3 rows, you've now got an extra 4th row in front of everything, giving more spaces for hexes to come in. Granted, I would rather preferred an extra column instead of a row, but hey, it's another 7 spaces. So it goes up from 21 spaces to 28. Now, player damage has obviously been lowered with these changes because, well, it's actually ramped up a little, but it's lower at the early parts of the game and is gone up as the game goes on. This is actually a very big change because of how, well, powerful it is. Early game, people just getting down to below 40 health before set 2, 3. And yeah, that is a good change. Now, one thing that I should also point out is champion drops have changed a lot during this game and in this update. So it's kind of good in that sense. Now, another good change that I'm actually glad they've done is once you pick up a champion from the carousel, your little legend will no longer collide with your opponent. This is very good in terms of people were able to block others. They just stood in certain champions, block these other little legends from getting that champion and force them into others by mistake. It's happened to me a couple of times, and yeah, that is quite a nice little bug fix, shall we say. Next we have rank changes, and this is going to be quite huge for TFT time. Ranked has been disabled for patch 9.22. It's quite a good way to obviously build up people into the game. And with the fact that Ranked has ended today on the 5th of November, everyone is going to be, well, it's basically the end of season chill time. Like pre-season for normal Ranked. They've also made changes to challenges, the amount of challenger slots there are in each region, and also Grandmaster slots, which is, excuse me, an alright change. I mean, it doesn't really affect me at the moment. Maybe if I get better at the game mode, I'll notice that change. Moving on, Champion Pool. This is a sort of good way to make you actually think about what your opponents have built. It's kind of a rock, paper, scissors effect. If you see a person who's running interest, so going heavy eco, who's got more access to the champion pool than what you do, and they've gone for a similar sort of build to you, and have more of that build, it kind of tells you, hey, I should probably change up what I'm doing because it's less likely for me to pick up said champion. But that is luck in a sense. Now, moving on to mana generation. They've upped it for 1-star champions to 8 damage 8 mana per stack as a flat thing instead of it going from 6 to 10. 2-star champions are 10 mana. 3-star have gone to 12, and mana generated from damage is reduced by 15%. That's quite huge considering champions like Darius, Braum, Garen, champions like that who kind of relied on that because they were big bulky boys who had minimalistic attack damage. They used mana generation from having high amounts of health and resistances. From the damage, they basically just generated a hell of a lot of mana. And that's why people usually stuck with like Garen to 3-star if you put a Dragon Claw on him, which has been nerfed in this mode if you can't tell by the well, I haven't shown it yet, but it's been nerfed, and it obviously changed it up because people used to just build Dragonclaw, Warmogs, and then maybe a Moronomicon or a Thormail on a Garen, so that he could generate enough of a mana to obviously ult, and his ult also reduced the amount of damage he took, making him pretty much unkillable. And when he's in that mode, Warmogs is still proccing. It's fairly... well, it was the main way to generate everything on him. Anyway, enough about mana generation. Let's talk about items. And obviously, with this new set of champions being added, pretty much all of the original traits, bar 3, have been replaced. And so the combinations with Spatula needed to change. Firstly, Curse Blade is gone. That is actually quite a good change. That really was a poor item in the mode. Next, we've also got a new recipe for Hurricane. Instead of it being a Spatula and a Negatron Cloak, it is now a Negatron Cloak and a Recurve Bow. It kind of goes back to the actual in-game recipe as a whole. I guess there isn't a Negatron Cloak in it, but it sort of made sense to obviously have a Recurve Bow in the recipe. Next, we also have item changes for the new traits. Inferno Cylinder obviously is for Inferno champions, or Mage Cap is for mages, Warden Mail for wardens, Talisman of Light is for light champions, Berserker Axe is obviously for berserkers, and the recipe is pretty much the same. Another thing to point out is I do believe there is a new item in the mode. I don't remember if it's true or not, but I think there is. But stat changes. Spatulas no longer give double stats, so people who used to go Darkin that gave you plus 40 mana, you used to go that plus Seraph's Embrace onto Katarina. If you were going for assassins like Evelyn as well, you obviously got Demon buff combined together with that. That has kind of been nerfed, considering Katarina used to have, plus 40 from that, plus another 40 from Saros. And yeah, you'd obviously stick a Gunblade on her, so that you're at max mana. You gain an extra 20, I believe, for ulting for free from your Saros. And yeah, you'd have pretty much an insta damage ult, which was absolutely powerful. Now, other changes to the items are Chain Vest has gone up in the amount of armor it gives, Death Cap's power has increased, making mages very deadly if you go them. Dragonclaw has been nerfed. It's kind of pointless sometimes now to build it. Giant Slayer has been buffed considerably. Well, you say considerably. Instead of it being true damage, it's now physical, so obviously armor will now counter it if you build that, but it's actually a good buff if you come up against, ranged targets that don't build defenses. Guardian Angel has been nerfed. Hand of Justice, another item that's received a nice little buff. Ionic Spark's gone down, which is a nice nerf. I'm glad they've done that. Lute's Echo, I'm not pleased that they've always nerfed that. It was not really used, to be honest, in normal mode and or in ranked, so I don't see why they're touching it. Negatron Cloak resist has gone up, thank goodness. People are now just going to build other items on Dragon Claw, because they'll probably get the same amount of resistance. Rika Bow has been nerfed, making ranges a little less useful. Hurricane now grants 1 extra bolt per copy of a champion. Yes, so if there's multiple copies of a champion on the board, that Hurricane's going to be proccing quite a few times. And Thief Gloves have received a buff for when you're level 8 or 9, it increases what the item chance is going to be. Obviously, you're going to get fully combined items at level 8 and 9 every time nearly, instead of it just being like low cost items, like maybe one completed item and then a piece of an item when you're like level 4, 5, and 6. Item system is the final thing we're going to talk about, and uncommon orbs, gold's been reduced. Gold orbs, average of gold has been reduced slightly. Spatula drop rate's been dropped because you always used to only get them from legendaries, and that was pretty much what you were gonna get from legendaries. Reduced the chance of getting combined items slightly. Very rarely did that happen. Dragons now drop 2 common orbs in addition to their carried item. Basically, them common orbs are always coins. You don't get anything out of them really. And Elder Dragon and Rift Herald drop a common and uncommon orb in addition to their carried item. Yeah, just an additional thing. Now, one thing I should also point out is the display of certain things, like the dragons. Now, the dragons also have had a little change in appearance. Depending on the map, obviously if you've gone for on a mountain hex map, the dragon's going to be a mountain. Infernal dragon, cloud dragon, etc, etc. That is kind of how it is, and that's pretty much it for this update, other than Freljord arena skins. You've seen them in my videos, and they're being added into the game. They're alright. They've got a poor road at Rome's map. That's all I've got to say about them. But that's going to be the end of this patch rundown. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you are new around here. And I will see you guys later. Peace.